welcome to this episode of Scotty Paints. Today we're going back to the Sunrise at Sumpter painting that I started last week. You can see it, it's up here on the canvas. Let's go back. I'll do a reminder of what we did last week. So last week I had masked out the bottom part here and then using the golden open colors, which have a longer drying time and allow you to blend more. I got the sky and the some of the stack exhaust coming from the locomotives. So you might be able to see some white lines. I put in some rough lines in this morning to sort of give me a little bit of a guide, my own personal paint by numbers, if you will, and just to give me some idea for proportion and scale to make sure that I've got everything where it's supposed to be. I don't know if you can see them on the screen or not. I can see it on my monitor. Maybe if you're on a high def large screen TV, you might be able to see some of the white lines that I put in. Other than that, I've left this area blank. I don't know what I'm going to do over here yet. There were some people standing here, rail fans that were out at the original photo. If I bring that up, you can see it here. Don't know what I'm going to do with that side of the painting yet. I don't think I'm going to put the people in there. There's some equipment stands or something over there. Normally along the side of a rail line like this, you might see some 50-gallon drums in a carrier of some sort sitting on the side, or maybe a speeder sitting off to the side. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. So at this point in time, I guess it's let's get painting. I'll show you what I've got in store for today on the palette. So I'll go ahead and bring up my palette cam, and here you can see that I've got a mixture of paints that I'm using. I've got the golden and the Liquitex heavy body acrylic. I won't be using any of the golden opens today because I don't need the long drying time. So I've got Liquitex heavy body titanium white. I've got some old cobalt blue left over from a few years ago. I'm going to get rid of. As I use up my Liquitex, I'm actually replacing them with the golden acrylics. I really like the heavy body acrylics that Golden has. I've used a couple of them in addition to the open, and I like the intensity of the pigment. So I've got a neutral gray, N5 neutral gray. I've got a Payne's gray. You don't see cadmium yellow up here yet. I'm going to bring cadmium yellow medium in when I get to the point of actually doing the headlight and that for the two locomotives. That'll probably come later on today. So I don't know how far I'm going to get today on this. My plan is to at least get the locomotives roughed in, and then we'll start looking at doing the foreground. Let's take a look at this foreground. You can see that it's all gravel, and it's got a grayish bluish cast to it from the early morning sky, and then the rails and the ties. So that takes up much of the foreground. So the foreground is actually somewhat boring with all that gravel. You don't really go in and paint every single little rock. So we'll figure out something to do with that. But it just might become a melange of different grays to simulate the rock that's there. So that's what's on score for today. At this point in time, I guess let's get things going on the palette. I've got my coffee, so that'll keep me going. I'm probably going to fast forward a lot of this and put some music in, so don't really have much to. I might be talking a little bit about the painting. We'll see. I didn't do my research on number 19. This is Mikado number 19 here, and then this is the Heisler over here. Heislers I'm very familiar with. We just ran a series in the magazine Steam in the Garden of building your own Heisler locomotive. So a lot of research went into that series that we published, and that definitely gave me some background information on the Heisler. The Mikado I don't know that much about. I'll have to do some more research and enlighten you with what I find out as I get more into it. So we'll go back over to the palette cam. I'll get the paints put down here. You also see that I'm using just a lot of small brushes. I bought this new little filbert. Got a couple of script liners. I've got my little chisel brush, my little flat bright there, another couple of script liners. Actually, I'm going to put these off to the side. I don't think I'm going to need those today. That's plenty of brushes right there. Okay, so heavy body titanium white. Put a generous amount of that down because, you know, titanium white is your friend. And then the cobalt blue to get a little bit of a bluish haze to some of these. And you can see that there's been some separation of that in the tube. This cobalt blue it's 40 years old, so I'll have to mix that up a little bit. Okay, I just don't like to waste paint, so I'm going to put the Payne's Gray over here. I haven't brought any black into this. And then my neutral gray. Neutral grays, I want to put it over here on this side. I'll probably be mixing these two together, the neutral and the Payne's, to get the tone I want. Plus, I'll also be putting in a little bit of the cobalt blue because of the metals on the locomotives. You get a little bluish tinge on them. So, mix up this cobalt blue, get it separated in the tube. Yeah, it's a little bit old, but it's all right. It's going to get mixed in with. I don't need that much of it. I actually have more here that I'm probably going to use. I don't like being wasteful of materials. I like to use them all up. Get it mixed in with some more modern paints. Things will be just fine. You know, the pigments will all work together. All right. So, we'll go to the over-the-shoulder cam and figure out where we're going to start here. So, I think I'm going to start right here with the locomotive. I've got the lead locomotive on the track there. I've got my reference picture here that I showed you earlier, and let's start painting. So at this point in time, probably going to hear a lot of music. I got to figure out how I'm going to attack this. You know, one thing about painting locomotives that, you know, it's a sunrise photograph and everything's just dark. You know, the locomotive's black, and the one color I don't have on here is black. I didn't bring any in because I wanted to use the Payne's Gray as my darkest color on here. So now, if you remember back from the painting I did of the Southern Pacific narrow gauge, eventually around here we're going to have some detail of the bolts to hold the smoke box cover in place. So we'll be coming back with even more detail on that. You can see it, I'm spending a lot of time on the detail. This, like I say, I'm only going to get about this much done today. I only paint for about 2 hours or so because my arms get tired. Don't have the ability to do a marathon session like I used to. So as soon as my hands start getting shaky, and that's when I say, okay, we're done. We're done. So if somebody tells you that painting locomotives is easy because they're just black, well, there's more to it than that. You want to make certain that you get details in. There's going to be shadows. There's going to be, you know, bits and pieces of equipment. We do have the edge of our running board going back. I'll be doing that later. Right now I want to get in. So let's take a look at the, I'll bring the photo up. And if you look, I don't know if you can see this or not, but the top of the boiler back here behind the sanding dome, before you get to the steam dome, is much lighter. So we are going to come in with a little bit lighter color. This is where I'm going to come in with just a little bit of the cobalt blue, not too much. Just to blue it up a bit. And I'll lay this down as a base. And actually the sanding dome is a much lighter color too. We've got a handrail. Alright, handrail. This runs all the way to the back. You just can't get away with doing one piece of this, because guess what it does? It casts a shadow. So you get a thin shadow here. Oh, you probably can't see it, but I can, so that's the important thing. All right. Okay. Tender. Got a tender back here. Steam locomotives have a tender behind. I'm sure you've seen that on bumper stickers that a railroader has on his car. On his car that says, "My other vehicle is a locomotive." Okay. So since we have these colors out, and these are colors that are in the, if I go and bring up our reference photo, I'm looking at now, what I'm looking at is over here, and this water tank, you can see the spout sticking out here. This is it's a unique water tank in that it's got a square boxy house around it. Is the tank inside round? I don't know, but you've got this square box up on stilts with a roof on it, and that is their water tank. So the roof has this bluish gray top to it. I'll bring in just a little bit of, I'll mix up another bluish gray. And I don't know if it's corrugated or not. It's hard to tell in the photo. We're gonna go with this. We'll go with bird sienna. See how that looks. All right. This is actually a good size piece of property to paint, so I wasn't going to use large brushes, but you know what? I think I will. Let's go bring up my number 10 chisel. And this has a bit of a reddish tinge to it. Got to lighten it up. Too light. It's a bright red, way more than I will ever need. And I want to redden this up a little bit. It's funny how with the burnt umber it sort of goes a pinkish color, doesn't it? See what happens when I put the Payne's gray into it. Try an experiment here. Some more 40-year-old colors. This is red oxide. I'm going to introduce some red oxide onto the palette. We'll see how this works. Bring some of this in. There we go. That's the color I'm looking for right there. A little red oxide. Okay. A little bit of sienna. All right. We'll go back over here. And let's start getting this big box laid in. Using my chisel brush. Using the chisel brush for the same reason you use a chisel brush if you're painting the wall inside your house. Get that nice sharp edge to be able to get a nice clean edge on the side of this building. I can turn it on edge like this, get a nice knife edge of paint going across, then I can come back and paint the rest of this in. I'm going to add just a touch of thinner to it. Probably too much. We'll see. actually you can see some white clapboard down in this area here on the side of it, some siding that and some that I'll have to go back in and add once this dries. We'll use a dry brush technique for that. And then a lot of the stilts that this thing is on is also faded, rotted, dried out. I'm going to say rotted, but wood that's been bleached by the sun. So that will go in here. So, well, let's see. I've been going for about 2 hours. It says an hour and 58 minutes. Which brings us, since I started, it's coming up on 11:30 my time. I started this at, so that I guess I started around 9:30. So I'm coming up on my lunch break. So what I'm going to do is I want to let this dry, and then we'll get started and do some more painting. I want to get the headlights done. So we'll come back, we'll finish off the headlights, we'll do some more details over here on the water tank. I'm going to do some research, look up some stuff. So in movie magic, this is going to happen in the blink of an eye, but actually I'm taking a break for about a half hour to an hour, and then we'll come back and we'll do some more painting. So don't go anywhere. And I think I'm out of coffee this time. All right, be right back. Okay, back at it. Yeah, mixing up a little bit of yellow and orange here. Yellow and red to make orange. And we'll get just a little bit of a orangish glow. All right, well, now we have some decisions to make. We start working on the foreground. Get some gravel in here. All right. Let's see. For that, we will move to the fan brush. Now I'm using the edge here because I don't. One of the mistakes of using a fan brush is to always use the fanny edge like this. Now, if you're doing flowers or bushes or things like that, that's fine. But this is gravel, so I'm just going to be using the edge here and pushing in to get the bristles to separate in order to get There's also, if you look at the photo, if I bring the photo up, you can see that over on this area here, now I cut the mask down to this level here. So I have all this background here, these trees, this little tree over here. And there's a little mountain range off here in the back. All this has to go in on top of the backdrop that I've created. So that might be one of the later things that I actually put in as we start working up over in here. So I want to get, my goal today was to get what we see here pretty much finished up and done. So I think I've accomplished that goal. I just mixed up a little bit of gray with a little more blue in it to bring in some more color into the texture of the gravel. Because, you know, sometimes I just can't say no. It's time to stop. Okay, I think that's probably I think that's probably as far as I'm going to go today in working on this. I put in 3 hours on it. I want to let it completely dry, which won't take long, but needed to take a break, walk away from it, go back and look at some more photos around the area, try to figure out what I want to do here. This is just way too much open space of gravel to leave it the way it is. There needs to be something in here. I don't know if it's going to be barrels, if there's going to be a speeder. It just seems like there's something needs to go in there. Maybe you have an idea of what I should put in over here off to the side rather than all the rail fans that were standing around. We basically we wiped them out. So this is where we stand with it for today. So this is where I'm going to stop for today. This is our second sitting with this painting. We'll have one more sitting with it, push to get it finished. We'll get the rails in. We'll get the little background over here in. We'll figure out what we're going to do here in the front to put something here, but this is where we're going to leave it for today. So, hey, thanks for sticking around with me. And I've got some more projects lined up. I've got some projects that I'm going to do here in the future that probably won't take as many sittings as I'm putting into this one here. But, well, more about those when we get to that. So, hey, thanks for joining me. I'd say, where's my coffee? Well, but it's gone. So, besides, it's late in the day. I don't need more coffee at this point. So, well, y'all have a good time in your painting that you're doing and your projects. I look forward to seeing more of them online in the different groups that I visit. So, until next time, hey, take care.